Hi there, Sue Stapp here with you today. I have a really cute card I want to share, and I'm going to turn the camera down. I'll give you a little tutorial. We'll go through this step by step. I think you're going to enjoy this, and I am getting ready for the holidays, so trying to get my cards together. I'm sure many of you are doing the same thing. So I'm going to turn the camera down. Hope I don't make you dizzy. And I will show this my workspace, and then we can get started on this. So here we go. Okay, so hopefully we're centered on the paper here. Switch my chair over a little bit. The card that we're going to do today is what I call a fancy fold. And anytime it has more than the traditional opening, I call it fancy fold. So this says, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. See the glasses of white wine. And then the inside says, but if the white runs out, I'll drink red. There's a nice big glass of red wine there. So that's what we're going to create today. And this is my prototype, as my granddaughter calls it. And I want to show you a little bit on what has some modifications I decided to do and how this all comes into play. So first of all, we're going to use 2 stamp sets, and the one stamp set is called Tuscan Vineyard, and I use the corks for this one, and I may use some of these other ones for embellishments. I'm not quite done fine-tuning yet, so I always add to different cards. I may make the same card, but I don't make them the same, you know what I mean? So that's Tuscan Vineyard. It's one of our stamp sets that's in our catalog. And then the other one is called Half Full. Now this is a special stamp set because it was created by one of our own Stampin' Up! Demonstrators. And the demonstrator's name is Linda Bowen. And what happens with Stampin' Up! When you're a demonstrator and you reach the milestone of $1 million in sales, they allow you to assist in creating a stamp set. And this is Linda's set. So her name goes in the catalog, and it will forever be tied to this stamp set. So congratulations to Linda. Well done. And I've only been doing this for a few years. I'm nowhere near that. But congratulations to Linda. So how do we get started on this card? We have a piece of cardstock that's Cherry Cobbler. And this is a half of 8.5 by 11. So it's 4 1/4 by 11. And we've scored this at 5.5 and at 2 3/4. And that's going to create the fold over. This is called a mountain, and this is called a valley. So that's our fold. It opens like that. And from there, we have a piece of green cardstock, and we use the garden green on this that is going on this large flap here. And this is actually the back of the card. And what I decided to do was to run this through one of our embossing folders. So I chose the embossing folder called Garden Trellis, and that's what this looks like. And when you put your paper into your embossing folder, just as a little hint, the area where the writing is, this will be the front or the raised portion of your design. So I put it through like that, and I run it through the big shot, just like that. And through the magic of TV or video, this is what it looks like. So that'll get glued on the back here. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in place using our multi-adhesive. And it gets a good strong bond whenever you have an embossed texture like this. Sometimes it's good to use a little bit stronger glue, and I find that this does the trick. So we'll be using that today for the rest of the card also. There are a couple pieces on this. The front of the card has the section with the corks on it. And that piece of cardstock, it's white cardstock, is 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. And so what I've done is I've taken that and I've stamped that, and then on the inside I also have the piece of white cardstock that I stamped with the corks just along the bottom. So on the front here, we are going to create this panel that is going to get adhered to the half of this card like so. So on the front of this, we're going to stamp the wine glasses. That's this one. And we're going to stamp the sentiment that says, "I'm dreaming of a white Christmas." And so let's do that. I'm using crumb cake for my wine glasses because I thought the black was a little heavy. So, and I'm going to put those right towards the bottom of the piece. Voila. And then the sentiment I'm going to do in black because I want a little contrast there. So I'm using the Memento stamp pad. And remember, the sentiment on this says, "I'm dreaming of a white Christmas." I've adhered this to an acrylic block. And these are called clear mount stamps. They're actually red rubber stamps, but they adhere to a clear acrylic block. So that's why they call them clear mount stamps. A little bit of information there for you. So this says, "I'm dreaming of a white Christmas," and I'm going to stamp that right towards the top. And that is going to get glued to, whoops, there's my measurements. That's actually 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. I didn't mention that. And the crumb cake is 3 by 3. So let's put this right in the center. Gives a nice border around all the edges. And the nice thing about using the liquid glue is you get a couple minutes there to wiggle it around if you didn't get it quite centered correctly. Now this is going to get adhered to just half of the card. So what I'm going to do is I'm only going to put glue on this half of the card. So I'm going to put that on right now. And then we'll let that dry while I stamp the remainder. So that's going to go on like so. It's going to hold it in place a second. And on the inside of the card, I have the piece that has the corks at the bottom. And on that one, I don't have anything because that's where I can write my sentiment. If I want to say happy holidays or missing you, wish you were here. The other piece is the white piece that we're going to have the large wine glass on. And the large wine glass I did also in the crumb cake. And I'm going to stamp that on here now. I'm going to stamp it towards the top so that I have plenty of room for my sentiment underneath. So there's that. And then the sentiment for this one says, "But if I run out of white, I'll drink red." And I'm going to go back to using the black stamp pad for that. And it's going to get stamped right here at the bottom. Okay, beautiful. Now, what I did, let me close up my ink pads because we certainly don't want them to dry out. And what I have done now to color in these two sections is I use the new alcohol markers that Stampin' Up! Has, and they're called Stampin' Blends. I have crumb cake and I have cherry cobbler. Our colors coordinate with our cardstocks, and that's one of the best parts about Stampin' Up! Is everything coordinates so nicely. So for the white wine on the front of the card, I'm going to use the light crumb cake, and I'm just going to fill this in. I love to color. It's so therapeutic. There's that. My granddaughters probably do a better job than I do, but you know, I have fun. So this is our crumb cake, our light crumb cake. And these are alcohol markers. And when you use the alcohol markers, you want to use a water-based ink for the outline. And for the large glass here that's going on the inside, remember that's red wine, so yep, you guessed it, we're going to use the red marker. This is the Cherry Cobbler alcohol marker. And I'm just going to outline this a little bit. And then I'm going to fill it in. Now the nice thing about these markers is you can shade them. And if I wanted to shade this with a little bit of shadowing, I would just use the dark Cherry Cobbler marker and it would give a dimensional effect. And for this one, I'm just going to show you this card for right now. And I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on here. The alcohol markers and the inks do bleed through the back, so it's always a good idea to have a piece of paper under your item that you're coloring on. And this is just going to get colored or marked on here, glued on here with a little bit of a border. And I'll give that a little rub. This folds over like that. This is where you could write a sentiment. Happy holidays are missing you. And then a signature area here at the bottom. So that is as quick and easy as this card is. Isn't it a great impact though? When you open this up out of your envelope, it kind of springs up so people know that there's something special going on. And then you open it up and you have all this great dimension and the colors. It really is a lot of impact for not a whole lot of terrible work. So that's the card for today. Thanks for joining me. I am pleased to have you stop by. I appreciate you taking the time to spend this time with me, and I look forward to seeing you again. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and you can give me a thumbs up at the bottom. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please do so. You'll get updates every time I post a new video. And I just started doing this a couple months ago, so I'm getting better. I'm going to be doing it on a more regular basis. And I'd love to have you join me. So that's it for today. Happy stamping, and go do some creating. Thank you.